Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pastrami Nation. We are the meat of pop culture. We have a very special interview today. So, first joining us from Pastrami Nation, we have Rebecca Benson
Hello.
and Kevin Hoskinson.
Hello.
And joining us today to talk about their new book coming out from Mad Cave. The book is called They Fell from the Sky. We have Liezl Buenaventura.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we are excited for this. Go right ahead, Rebecca.
All right. Well, first off, can you please tell us how you got into comics to begin with?
Right. So I actually got into comics, over 10 years ago. It's been a while. I am a visual artist by profession, and I got into comic coloring in like 2008, 2009. And then I started applying on forums of all places. There was no like Twitter and social media wasn't really big back then. So I started applying for jobs, coloring jobs on forums. And then I started getting them and I started working for independent creators. And then I started getting work from small to medium publishers. And I started writing in 2019. I thought I would apply for this talent search from Mad Cave in 2019. But sorry, my brain is not working. Give me 1 second. I'm blanking on the dates.
No worries.
So in 2019, Mad Cave had a talent search, and I thought I would join it, right? But I wasn't sure if I would win, and I wasn't professional at all because you have to be an amateur to join it, and I was an amateur writer, and then I joined it. I won. That's where my writing career started with the 2019 talent search.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so inspiring to hear too. Entering the contest and winning. I'm sure you're pretty excited about that opportunity.
Yeah, everyone's been really great. I think that anybody who wants to get into comics should definitely check out the talent search. It's they have a writing part and an artist part, and the artist that I'm working with on They Fell from the Sky is actually also one of the winners. So they put us together.
Cool.
So he's great. He's from Spain. His name is Xavier.
Awesome.
So, if you don't mind, can you tell us a little about your upcoming series?
Okay. I'm gonna refer to my notes for this. So basically, They Fell from the Sky is about it's about a friendship between a 12-year-old boy named Tommy and an alien visitor from another planet. Fans of E.T., Lilo and Stitch, will recognize this boy and his dog type story, I'm sure. And this is kind of like my love letter to that genre. And I'm a mom, and I grew up. I was born in '83, so I grew up with these adventure movies, and I was so happy to be assigned this project. And yeah, I hope people enjoy it, and I hope they get the references. But even if they don't, it's fine. I'm sure there's a whole generation of kids who have never seen E.T., so that's fine. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Well, I know for me, being mid '80s kid too, I've kind of
Yeah.
to instill those great movies and in my own child. So that was really
yeah.
hard for me to begin with, once it was plugged as E.T. and the Lilo and Stitch, all the familiar things. So I was really excited about it.
Yeah, and also I'm a fan of Stranger Things.
Yes.
Yes.
And when that came out, I was like, oh, this genre is alive again, and I was so happy to see that. And And with They Fell from the Sky, of course, I had to bring it to this year. Like, they have tablets, they have, cell phones, and that's fine. But I tried to keep the spirit of that genre alive in my story.
Right. And it definitely comes through because you're right. If I didn't see like the laptop and the modern day tech, I would have thought this was like something out of the 80s because it had that really 80s vibe.
Yeah.
From the bullies and the counters there and the comic shop and
Yeah.
it all felt very 80s, and that's like one of the highest compliments I could think of because the 80s were full of amazing stories, and every time we reach the end of this, like we want to see what's next. And of course, there's a little teaser of the cover of the next one, and you're like,
yeah. Yeah. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, I know this hasn't been released yet. This is coming out February.
First week of February, I think.
So I know it's probably been sent out to, the press and whatnot and reviewers. How has the reception been so far that you've been hearing?
So I've read the reviews that have tagged me. Thank you, Rebecca, for tagging me. So I read that, and I read a couple of, maybe I read 2 or 3 other reviews. It's good. People do recognize the genre, which I'm happy it's recognizable as that genre of kids and alien friendships, and people do recognize the 80s in it despite the technology. And yeah, I've been happy. I'm sure there's some people who don't like it, but I haven't seen the reviews yet. I haven't seen all the reviews yet, so far I'm happy. And I'm very grateful that people are reading it and taking the time to review it, because I know that it's I'm a very this is my first official work as a writer, so I'm pretty much like a no-name writer, and thank you for taking the time to read it.
Well, the premise, and when we first saw the cover from when they sent the blurb out from Mad Cave, it just caught, and we're right there. We were just like, oh, because there was that in another book, and this one stood out. Nothing against the other book, this one really stood out. I'm reading the other book too, so don't get Mad Cave. But this one really stood out, though. Just reading about the quick little log line on there, and just seeing the design and whatnot, it made you want to dive into it. And you're with a really good publisher. Mad Cave has produced some high quality books. Some of our favorite from 2020 were actually Mad Cave titles. So
that's great. I'm so happy.
You're in good company.
Yeah, I've met some of my fellow writer winners from 2019. They're all very nice. They're like, everyone is just nice. So I'm very happy.
Right. Yes. Stoney spoke highly of you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
He's a very nice guy.
Oh, he's fantastic. We had him on here talking about Villainous, and just so down to earth, just like you, very down to earth. And that's I think one thing we appreciate the most when it comes to creators. We're all people, and it's so great when we just get to connect as people, and not sometimes I'm not going to mention any names, but I mean there's a guy there at Dark Horse, but you meet some people and they kind of look down and talk down to you, and you're like, we're all people, And I've always felt the great connection from everybody I've talked to at Mad Cave, you included, and it's just been fantastic.
Well, I think it's also because even in my coloring career, which I've been doing for quite a while, I've always just been working in the indie scene. So I feel like that grounds you, because people are nice. No one's pardon my French, no one's an asshole. So that's nice. And that doesn't mean that if somebody said, "Hey, you write Star Wars," I'm not going to say yes, but it's.
No, you're going to jump on that.
Yeah, you jump on it. But I love the indie scene. My roots are in the indie scene. When I started off as Zero, the indie scene was how I got into comics. And yeah, I love the scene.
Mhm.
Agreed. 100%.
And you said your background as an artist in colors, and how much influence did you have over working with your team? Was it kind of a different stance becoming the writer and creator, or
Right. So I think that my experience as a colorist helped me as a writer, but in terms of uh, being in the position of a writer, you don't really what's the word for that? You don't collaborate with the other parts of the book, because this is, even though Mad Cave is very down to earth and very nice people, it's still very much a publisher. So with a publisher, you have an editor, and all of my communication is with my editor, and so he is the director, and he directs all of the parts of the book, and I have no complaints. I'm very happy with the book. But yeah, when I was writing the script, I did have notes specifically about colors, like, hey, this should feel like a flashback, So, and my experience as a colorist helps me understand that, hey, this, if you want something to look like a flashback, it has to be done in the colors, because you tone and you tint the pages to look old. So yeah.
awesome?
That's great. Let's see.
And did you have any connections to any one particular character?
Oh man, I mean, it's funny, as a writer, you kind of have to be all of them. Like, of course, Tommy has a lot of experiences of my youth, again in the 80s, which is why probably like people are like, huh, that's a bit, I mean, I'm 37 now, and I would like to think that school bullies aren't this bad. I hope, but during my time they were. So it's kind of a balance, and you do try to bring it into this century. Not this century, this decade. Sorry, I'm not that old. You try to bring it into this decade, but at the same time, you have to write what's authentic to you.
Right.
So they are lived experiences, and of course, the parents part. There was quite a lot of family dynamics in the first issue, and now I'm a parent too, so I feel that. So I'm actually in a little bit of everybody, in that I try to put parts of myself or parts of my son, or my husband, or people who I love and are close to me and have shared these experiences with me, into each character, just so it doesn't feel so cliche or tropey. And I know I'm very much working within something that is very well trodden by better writers. So I have to dig deep and find a way to make it mine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a question about the dialogue. So,
Yeah.
When I read a comic, like the dialogue can take you in and out of the story.
Sure.
You read one with really, static dialogue and can't connect to it. This all felt very natural, and it felt like something you would actually hear coming out of the characters. How do you go about doing that? Because I know some people, like, they take notes of people in that age group on what they say and try to create the dialogue that way. What technique did you use to craft the dialogue to sound like your character?
12-year-old kids. Yeah. So I try to remember what it was like to be 12, and my son is actually only 6, so he's not quite there yet. He's not that articulate yet. So I looked at his mannerisms, like whenever we say something about responsibility, and then he walks away. Like the scene where this is a spoiler, but the scene where the mom is trying to talk to Tommy, and where she opens the door and he's gone. I mean, that's kind of like a very, very authentic experience for parents. Like, you're trying to talk to your kid, you're being serious, and then you turn around, he's gone. And that's a very realistic thing. Regarding the articulateness of the characters, I was trying to think of myself as 12 years old, but better, because I don't think I really talked in that articulate a way, but I would like to have talked like that. So there's a difference between just recording speech versus writing speech. And I tried to make it feel real, but at the same time, you fix it. You make it sound better when read. Yeah. So basically, it was me as 12, but far better than I actually was.
Yeah, I have to say you did nail the dialogue. I have a 13-year-old son, and how he acts, that's how he is. He's that little kind of I hate to use the word nerdy, but like kind of, he's into like Star Wars and like video games and stuff, and that's kind of his thing. So yeah, flowed well with
I feel that. I feel that.
Definitely.
And you definitely had some influences from Star Trek worked in there too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would have used Star Trek if we could, but we can't. It's definitely like some people mentioned that it was like a Star Trek parody, but I would say that it's a homage. I mean, it's nothing. It's not mocking at all. I love Star Trek, and I was kind of a Star Trek nerd. So my time was Next Gen. Like that was my Star Trek. But the Star Trek of my youth was Picard, and then Voyager. Yeah, I always loved both Star Wars and Star Trek. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but yeah, I'm a fan of both franchises. And I did grow up with both of them. So yeah, it's all very lovingly referenced.
See, I think I'm the only one that's not a fan of both. I know Rebecca's a fan of both. And Kevin's a fan of both.
Yeah.
I have went on podcast and like said, if you like Star Trek, get out.
Oh no!
Give it a shot.
It's all right. It's all right. You got me and Rebecca on your side. No worries.
But I give it a shot, and I've seen like the older ones, the real old ones, Captain Kirk, and then I even seen a few with Picard, and I can't fault their storytelling. Their storytelling is amazing. To me, like growing up, it was always, why do I want to watch a bunch of old men in sweaters with when I could watch like a Jedi Knight?
That's true.
The storytelling aspect can't be ignored. So I completely agree. It's a great thing to pay homage to. Absolutely. Now, indie scene is your scene. What books are you reading right now, so we can kind of get a feel for what you're reading?
Gosh, it's hard to kind of say what I'm reading, because I'm reading a lot of the books that I've done. I've colored. I mean, I'm so full of myself.
Oh, not at all.
Of course I've read Villainous and Nottingham, which is the another upcoming title. But these are my friends, so am I allowed to say that? But
absolutely.
Right, so once you start working in comics, you kind of get really into the stuff you do, which I'm so sorry. But yeah, most of the stuff I've read lately has been Stabbity Bunny, Shadow Play, Stabbity Ever After. I mean, these are all books that I colored. So
you colored the Stabbity Bunny ones from Scout?
Yeah. I have deep love for Richard and Dwayne. Richard is the writer, right. Dwayne is the artist. We started years ago. Like Stabbity Bunny was one of the first things I did independently, because if you're not aware, Stabbity Bunny did not have Scout yet. It started out just as Richard looking for a team, and then he brought it to conventions. And then we got to issue 6, I think, 5 or 6, before Scout. He went with Scout, and then Scout re-released everything from issue 1.
Right.
And we're still going up to now. So, and then it did offshoots. What do you call that? Spin-offs, which is Stabbity Ever After and Shadow Play. So, I mean, a lot of people who recognize my coloring recognize it from Stabbity Bunny. So, I have nothing but great things to say about that duo. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. I have a few Stabbity Bunny books in my collection. So
Oh, that's great.
Awesome.
Yay. Yeah. Okay, but in terms of like the books I used to read before I got super full of myself, um, I used to read a lot of DC Vertigo, and I was very, very sad when they went under, not under, when they closed.
Yeah.
So at the height of my, really obsessed with comics phase, which was early teens, like or preteens to further on, I loved X-Men, Batman, and then when I got into Vertigo, I just consumed as much as I could get my hands on, and yeah, so that genre of comic book, which is it straddles the line between being horror and like occult, weird, adult, dark stuff. That was what I was really into. Oh, I sound like an emo teenager. But yeah, that was what I was into when I was about 16, 17, 18. And then, of course, my favorite author is Neil Gaiman. And I followed him even after comics. And I tried to buy his bibliography as much as I can. I think I want to say I have all of his books, but I'm not sure if I have. So let's just say I have like 90% I've read 90% of him. So yeah, but I loved his comic work, and I wish he would come back to it. But I understand why he would prefer to write novels.
I think we would all love a Neil Gaiman Sandman continuation in there, because
Thank you.
Sandman is like one of the most amazing series of all time.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
American Gods and Nazi Boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually my favorite author as well. So.
Oh, that's great. I'm so excited about the Netflix Sandman. I don't know if that's still happening, but I was waiting for it.
Last I heard, everything's going forward on it, because everything that hits like a film, it gets like stuck in like production hell. And
I heard that.
And now, like, it's actually moving forward, and Netflix has done a killer job on their adaptations with Umbrella Academy. From what I hear, The Witcher is really good.
I watched it; it's great.
Yeah, so I think if it happens, like, I mean, of course, like, go the route of like the Absolute Volume 1 or the audiobook, that whole story. Give us that. Give us the tie-in with Constantine and Etrigan, and I'd be there.
Did you hear about the audiobook? That's great. It was really well done. So yeah, I was so good. I was so excited.
Rebecca and I have both listened to it, and oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful and I'm excited, and I hope they are what's the word for that? They're faithful to the original, except I know they're bringing it to modern times. So I think you can still do it. You can still be faithful to the grain of truth in the books, in the comic books, and bring it to modern times. So I'm hopeful. I really hope it's good. It's one of those things where always don't ruin it, please. Just please be good so I don't have to hate it.
Right. Yeah, because Netflix does really good, but they also did Death Note, and Netflix's Death Note was probably one of the worst adaptations of all time. So.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it. So, I heard that it wasn't good, but I'm not a huge fan of the manga. Like, I read some of it. I know that it's good, but, I really, I viscerally hated the main character. What's his name? Is it Light? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're so evil. I was like, how can I root for this guy? And I guess I'm just, I'm so I need a main character that's kind of good. And it's hard for me to really fall in love with a series where he was just objectively, not a good guy, I guess.
That's a really good
point. Death Note fans.
He was the main character, yet he was not a hero by any right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, that's I didn't really think about that. You're right. How it was an antagonist the whole time.
Yeah, and I know that there is a space for stories like that, because not every story can be about a hero, and I'm 100% I understand that it's a great manga, I don't want to read it. It was one of those things where I couldn't bring myself to finish it. But yeah, I mean, I have friends who finish the whole thing, love it 100%. So yeah.
Just not the Netflix one. Mm-mm. They
Stay
turned
away
that
from it.
cold, calculating, smart, lead character into like a bumbling teen.
Oh
Yeah, like the whole point was like he's smarter than the cops. He's smarter than
no.
everybody.
Yeah.
This guy's like
Yeah.
making mistakes and everything. You're like,
Oh, that's too bad. So like they kind of stripped what made him him.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and that's what I really hope that they don't do with Sandman. Like, please don't make Dream nice. Like, he's not a nice
Thank
guy.
you.
Right.
He's
And don't make
a bit
that,
of a
super
dick.
dark. Keep their characteristics.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Are you currently working on any other projects?
Oh, yeah. So my coloring jobs are still ongoing. I have the upcoming stuff is the new issues of Ivory Ghosts, and also I took over for Dragons by the Yard for Chimera Press. These are both ongoing series, and some of the books I worked on got pushed because of quarantine. So the thing about working with independent publishers is that they're very dependent on conventions. So when there's no conventions, it's really hard for them to move books. But hopefully they should be coming out in 2021. So I've got Chimera Press books coming out. I've got a new miniseries from T-Pub Comics, hopefully coming out soon. It's called Amputation Capital, and from 215 Inc. Fairtalia, a new miniseries. So these are all coloring jobs. For writing, I'm writing something right now, but there's nothing really to report. I'll tell you if there's anything, but there's nothing yet. Fingers crossed. So yeah.
No, that's exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. And I mean, we can kind of get what you would say on this one, but I'm going to ask you anyway. If you could write for any comic book series, what would you pick?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say Star Wars because I feel like I've been pretty happy with everything Star Trek has put out lately, and which is not to say that I have anything against what Star Wars has put out lately. It's just that there's so much of it that there's a place for everyone. I feel they came out with like 10 new series. I'm like, yeah, I would love to write. Like, give me a random droid and I'll write a story about it.
Right?
Yeah, like give me anything, I'll try to write something. So yeah, I would say Star Wars would still be the dream. I'm just putting that out there to the cosmos.
Yes.
Yeah. So Marvel, IDW.
Yeah.
Good answer. All right. Well, and I think the next part was actually the last question. Where can we find out more about your projects? Where can people follow you online? Do you have a website, social media, anything like that?
Right. So I do have a website, but I never update it. It's LiezlBuenaventura.com. I do try to update Instagram, which is also Liezl Buenaventura. And then I have a Facebook, which is, my username is Liz Buenaventura. And I try my best to update Instagram. So if you're looking for news and like releases, Instagram is the place to find me.
Sounds great. And remember, everybody, They Fell from the Sky comes out in February. If you have not talked to your comic shop yet, you should probably talk to them and ask them to hold you one or be there day one. You want to read this. Get a hold of it. They Fell from the Sky #1 from Mad Cave. Liezl, thank you so much for being on here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really fun. Thanks, guys.
We look forward to seeing what the future holds for you. Hopefully something with a lightsaber. So
Thank you. All right.
All right. Well, signing off for Pastrami Nation. This is Nolan.
Rebecca?
Kevin.
All right. Be sure to visit pastramination.com for news, reviews, and more. Thank you. See you next time.